want to go back to touch on what Will was talking about with regards to tuition fees. I personally don't see them as the huge barrier that some people put them across as. I think that maintenance and being able to support yourself at university is more of a challenge. But does that matter if nobody else knows, if people don't understand the system?
So I've met with Martin Lewis, who's got strong views obviously on the ability to communicate the system, and obviously the system as it exists is defined so through legislation, which obviously creates the narrative by which the Secretary of State has the power to make loans, and Matt can correct me here if I sort of misspeak, but sort of that's one of the issues around sort of whether we, how you define and describe a loan system that obviously means you're not paying anything back until you're earning £25,725, and even then, once you're earning £27,000, you're only paying back £15 a month. So really important that we communicate better, and I'm really interested in the work that Martin Lewis and the Russell Group University has done around sort of actually where the money's being spent. Because you do get this narrative of saying this is so much debt that you're taking on, and I must pay it back as soon as I can. I mean, that's the last thing that you want to do. If actually this is a great sort of financial package where actually you're going to get the best rates, and
interesting strap line.
Yeah,
Do not pay this.
it's something that we've got to be able to be better at communicating, but the Olga Review may come up with a different model of how sort of student financing works. So I don't want to prejudge what happens with that. I just think it's also important to say that regardless of the cost of a degree at £9,250, it still costs about £11,000 to put on a degree across all sectors. Sort of so.
Well, I mean, this is the concern, certainly in terms of the loan system. Although it shouldn't be a financial barrier to anybody, it's certainly a mental barrier for certainly particularly communities like mine. I think that where average income is not high, and where actually this discussion around loans and debt is a really sensitive one. That particularly where parents haven't gone to university and haven't experienced that themselves. So that's a huge challenge to overcome. The concern, I suppose, with the Olga Review is precisely that the review could recommend changing tuition fees, not something I think would be particularly helpful, but if it does, are the Treasury bought into that? And if it comes back and says we need to reduce tuition fees as a kind of headline-grabbing statement, is the Chancellor going to fill that gap?
I can't comment on behalf of the Chancellor of the Treasury, unfortunately. I mean, I really don't want to be put in a position where the review obviously does report to the Prime Minister, it reports to the Chancellor, it reports to Secretary of State for Education, and those discussions, will be ongoing when the report's published about sort of what the government response will be.